Nearly a dozen scientists and government officials with connections to top secret government secrets disappearing or dead under strange circumstances. The U.S. government now on the case. Just take a listen to President Trump.
Well, I hope it's random, but we're going to know in the next week and a half. I just left a meeting on that subject, so pretty serious stuff, but we're going to be hopefully, I don't know, coincidence, if you whatever you want to call it, but some of them were very important people, and we're going to look at it over the next short period.
The group had all allegedly had access to sensitive information, with some of the details of the cases eerily similar. NewsNation has been out in front of this story since the beginning. We have told you about retired General William McCasland, who left his New Mexico home with nothing but a gun, never to be seen again. And Stephen Garcia, a government contractor who also disappeared in New Mexico, also with a gun and no personal belongings. But other lesser-known cases are also catching our attention. 53-year-old Melissa Cassius worked at a research lab in Los Alamos, New Mexico. She was last seen in June of 2025, 3 miles from her home, walking along a highway. She left behind her purse, her wallet, and her phone, with the phone's history wiped. A month before that, 78-year-old Anthony Chavez went missing, a former employee of the same lab where Melissa worked. There's also the case of Monica Reza, who disappeared in June of 2025 while hiking in Los Angeles with a friend. Police say Reza was about 30 feet behind the person she was with, smiling and waving, but when the person turned back, she was gone. So is this a string of strange mishaps, a coincidence, or something much more sinister? We are joined by NewsNation national security contributor Tracy Walder, former CIA officer and FBI special agent. Tracy, it's good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Natasha.
We know the FBI is investigating. The president has been briefed. He says it's very serious stuff. Is anything standing out to you when you look at these cases?
I think the biggest thing, first of all, is the proximity in which they all seem to disappear, the proximity in dates, excuse me. If you look at Monica Reza and Melissa Cassius, they disappeared within 3 or 4 days of each other. The other ones within a month or so, give or take, of them. And so I think that obviously gives me a little bit of pause. Also, you mentioned earlier the complete lack of personal effects that they seem to have left their home with. Tell me that either there's two situations there. They left not wanting to be found, or they left under suspicious circumstances.
All the scientists have worked for a wide range of organizations. Just hours ago, NewsNation learned that the House Oversight Committee will start probing these cases. They're seeking information from the Pentagon, the FBI, the Department of Energy, and NASA, saying that several of the scientists carried high-level security clearances. Why would they be seeking information from these organizations?
My guess, and I'm very glad that they're investigating these, to be honest, my guess is most of them worked for JPL as well as Los Alamos National Labs. They're probably trying to understand what exact cases did these individuals work, what programs did they work, what did they have access to, what didn't they have access to, because just to sort of inform everyone, just because you work at the same place does not mean that you all have access to the same programs. And so is this something that is being targeted of individuals working on a specific program? Because if it is, that would help obviously narrow the focus of the investigation. Or is this broader? And so that's my guess in terms of why they're probing those entities.
How big of a national security risk is this situation? And what kind of information could these scientists know that could be a risk here? I mean, we know, for example, General McCasland, his emails were previously hacked by the Russians.
Yes, of course that happened. But I do want to make it clear with General McCasland, listen, he retired in 2013, and even his wife, had said the access that he had would have been obviously very dated, if you will. It's not to say he wouldn't be a good target, but certainly he wouldn't have access to current information. And a lot changes in, the technology world and the national security world in 12, 13 years. So I think that's something that probably needs to be taken into consideration as well.
Do you believe that some of these scientists disappeared willingly? Because when we look at, General McCasland, Stephen Garcia, Monica Reza, Melissa Cassius, they all disappeared out of nowhere, some of them with just a gun. Melissa's phone was wiped. Is that concerning, or are we just looking at a string of potential suicides here?
Listen, it's hard to say, right? And that's why I'm very glad that they are conducting an investigation, just simply because of where these individuals worked. We need to know if they are being targeted by a foreign entity, because clearly that is a national security issue. And if you just look at how they disappeared, what they didn't take with them, and what things they were working with, it makes sense that we would conduct an investigation from a national security perspective. I do think McCaslin's wife, I believe, has stated that he didn't want to be found. So some of that indicates to me that on his part, maybe some of this was willing, but I can't say for certain on the rest. You know, it's hard to say, but I'm very glad that they are conducting an
Yes,
investigation.
certainly. And if this were not coincidence and something more sinister in at least some of these cases, what are some things that your mind goes to that we should be made aware of? Is this an issue with foreign adversaries?
It could be. It could be an issue where foreign adversaries are targeting these individuals, or again, this is all alleged. This is just my hypothesis. This could be an instance where individuals are turning themselves over to foreign adversaries to work for them. Were they meeting with an asset from another country? Those are the two things that I think are very critical in this.
Very interesting. Tracy Walder, appreciate the insights and the time as always. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.